Over 5 months since the centre promised compensation to the deceased police officer Vilas Shinde's family after he was beaten to death on the streets of Mumbai, the family says they haven't received any compensation. This was a promise made personally by Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis over 5 months ago. Day 3 since Chennai came to a complete standstill and the protests have escalated. The youth have hit the streets demanding a rollback of the Jallikattu ban. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister reaches out to the Prime Minister, but the PMO says Jallikattu is culturally significant, but the matter is sub judice. The PMO has assured support to the state. And the protests cross borders. Protests for the lifting of the ban of Jallikattu now happening in Mumbai, in Delhi, in London, in Singapore and in Melbourne as people came out into the streets, joining and supporting that protest. And the Congress protests against the government's demonetization drive. Today, the party leaders and workers took to the streets in Bangalore. Well, the fight over Jallikattu that began on the streets of Chennai has now reached Delhi. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam met with Prime Minister Modi. He handed him a letter to the PM urging that he draft an ordinance and lift the ban on Jallikattu immediately. After the Chief Minister Pannirselvam met with the Prime Minister, the PM assured full support to the state. But soon after that meeting, a tweet came from the Prime Minister's office and I quote, "The ban imposed on Jallikattu by the Supreme Court has come up for discussion. While appreciating the cultural significance, the Prime Minister has observed that the matter is presently sub judice. The centre would be supportive of the steps taken by the state government."
ஜல்லிக்கட்டுக்கு இருக்கின்ற தடையை அகற்றி மத்திய அரசு ஒரு அவசர சட்டத்தை கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்றும் மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்களுக்கு நான் கடிதத்தின் வாயிலாக தொடர்பு கொண்டு கேட்டு சந்திப்பதற்கும் நேரம் ஒதுக்கி தர வேண்டும் என்று நான் கேட்டிருந்தேன். அனைத்து இந்திய அண்ணா திராவிட முன்னேற்றக் கழகத்தினுடைய பொதுச் செயலாளர் மாண்புமிகு சின்னம்மா அவர்களும் தமிழகத்தில் ஜல்லிக்கட்டு நடத்துவதற்குரிய அவசர சட்டத்தினை மத்திய அரசு கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்ற கருத்தினை வலியுறுத்தி கழக பொதுச் செயலாளர் மாண்புமிகு சின்னம்மா அவர்களும் மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்களுக்கு கடிதத்தின் வாயிலாக கேட்டுக்கொண்டார்கள். மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்களும் ஜல்லிக்கட்டு நடத்திட தேவையான நடவடிக்கைகளை எடுத்திட வேண்டும் என்று நான் வலியுறுத்தி அதற்கு ஏதுவாக ஒரு அவசர சட்டத்தினை கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்ற கருத்தினையும் வலியுறுத்தி மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமரிடம் தெரிவித்தேன். மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்கள் மிகவும் பரிவுடன் நமது கருத்துக்களை கேட்டுக்கொண்டார்கள். எனவே மாநில அரசு இது தொடர்பாக எடுக்கும் நடவடிக்கைகளுக்கு மத்திய அரசு உறுதுணையாக இருக்கும் என்று மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்கள் தெரிவித்தார்கள்.
Meanwhile, the protests against the ban on Jallikattu, what is being called the Makkal movement, intensified. Thousands of protesters camped out on Marina Beach. The protesters are firm that they will not leave the beach until that ban is lifted. Many colleges remain closed in Chennai on Thursday and students flocked to the protest site.
You are the one who is organizing this protest, spearheading this protest. So now tell us that the Chief Minister has actually spoken and he has asked the protesters to give up their agitation, and they have promised that the central government and the state government will do everything possible to ensure that Jallikattu happens.
No, actually they didn't tell that, they didn't promise us anything. What they said is we have to move on from this place, and what they are telling is they cannot do against the Supreme Court law. So we are in the position that we are not able to help you is what we have received the communication. But what we are here for, we need the ban to be removed. We want the name Bull to be removed from the list, and we we want the immediate agenda, like the Supreme Court has to give us the permission to run the Jallikattu immediately. And till then, we will not move from this place. Already we are here for the last 2 days, and we will be here for I'm not sure how many days we are going to continue. Unless and until our bulls are there in the ground, we will not move from this ground.
And the Chief Minister is meeting Prime Minister tomorrow. So there will be some kind of favorable outcome. So what are you expecting from the meeting, and what do you want the Prime Ministers to say?
Actually, we just looking for a favor for Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is part of India. That is what we wanted to register right now, because all the times we have been boycotted so many things actually. So because we are also being part of India, that is why we are all people.
That being a part, that feeling being a part, feeling of being ignored. Apart from that, what is your demand? What are you expecting from the meeting tomorrow? If the government is okay with going ahead and bringing an ordinance, will that be okay? Do you want an ordinance? Because the state government has clearly said that it's only the central government that can do something about Jallikattu.
We want the ordinance to happen immediately, then only our protest will be cancelled, or otherwise we will not move from this place. The ordinance should happen immediately. The Chief Minister has to do, he is the only person can do this. Why is he not coming us? Why is he not coming out? Why is he not helping us? I don't know. We want the ordinance to come here, take the place immediately, and the Jallikattu has to happen.
What do you think that the centre can do at this moment? Because the centre says that the matter is sub judice, it's in the court, so it has to be handled legally. An instant solution cannot be something that can be granted now.
The legislation selected for the people. Number one, our constitution is well written, based on the people's requirement for the people. When the judiciary is not doing well, the parliament has the power to do two-thirds majority. They can do whatever they want for the goodness of the people. When these emotions are coming out for the reality, for their own tradition, if they are not respecting the Indian unity, Indian feel, we are all Indians, it's a tradition of India. Jallikattu is an Indian tradition. It should be implemented immediately. The parliament must enact an immediate ordinance. The Modi must see the feel of every Indian, those who are sitting around here. Please do that.
The protesters here, they don't have any political background. They are from different professions. One is an actor, one is a radio jockey. Some people are from some people are IT professionals. And the participants here in this massive protest are students. And you can see many people who have turned out here. They have come on their own will. Usually this is not a political rally where people come for biryani, but this is a spontaneous crowd. Though they are somewhat disorganized, but what we do understand is that they are showing no signs of slowing down, and they will be going ahead and protesting until their demands are met. So here, their only demand is that they want Jallikattu and they want ban on pizza. So this is what we can understand from talking to the protesters for the very first time, and we can understand these are the people who are actually spearheading the protest, and these are the people who are protesting in the heart of the city, and this protest has gone viral across Tamil Nadu so that their emotions, their confidence can be expressed in such a way that the central government actually looks into it and also does something about it.
All right, so that happens in Chennai, and those people are still camped out on that beach. But the fever has spread across the world. Tamils have been protesting in London, in Melbourne, in Singapore, and in South Africa. What you can see on your TV screens right now are visuals from different locations across the world where people have come out in support of the protest that's happening in Chennai right now. That's Melbourne, Australia. Where people have come out in support of the protest, who say that they want the ban to be lifted and that the honour of Tamil Nadu, what is being called Jallikattu, be allowed to take place. This is being called the Tamil Makkal movement or the people movement right now across the world. But back in India, protests were also seen in Delhi and in Bangalore against the controversial ban on the sport.
A massive protest is organized in Delhi's Jantar Mantar. I have with me people who are in support of Jallikattu. Maheshwaran, I would come to you. Tell me, what is the demand of the people present here?
We do not say that we stop this thing, this law and order. You can impose the law and order, subjected to you are not taming my culture and my basic rights. You can, because the people who do not know what is Jallikattu, because the translation itself very wrong. They call it as a bullfight, but basically in Tamil, bullfight is not Jallikattu. We just hug our these bulls and we grow them like our own child, and we grow them, and every year we participate with them. So this cannot be stopped by just taming few animal lovers saying that. The reality should be seen. The Tamil culture, Tamil sentiment should not be hurt.
It's not bull dreaming. This is a cultural program which conduct in every Sankaranti time. It cannot be banned or restricted by either by central government or the state government. What we demand is that the bull race is to be permitted by making a suitable amendment either in the Central Act or the state government has power.
This is the nowhere is hurting the animal. In the Jallikattu issue, from the beginning onwards, the history known the period itself, still now, none of the bull is died. There is no history at all.
As you see over here, the protests are coming. The voices are here from the Tamil Nadu. They have come to Delhi and they are organizing a protest in support of Jallikattu. They want the central government to make amendments and restrictions, however, not ban the sport, as they say that it's a cultural sport and that no animal has died in this bull taming exercise, which happens every year.
Well, turning our sights to Bangalore, the civic body BBMP has begun the demolition drive again. Currently, the BBMP has identified encroachments in 3 assembly constituencies, Hebbal, Yelahanka and Bararatnapura. Shrija brings us more details on whose homes right now are going to come in demolition.
After a break, BBMP is back with their equipment to demolish structures constructed on stormwater drain. Currently, the BBMP has identified encroachments in 3 assembly constituencies, one being Hebbal, second Yelahanka and third Byatarayanapura. In fact, according to the BBMP officials, this particular area, that is the RT Nagar, has been witnessing water logging, and on Thursday, the BBMP officials of the East Zone arrived with JCBs to raise the compound wall, and they continued its drive under the police protection and demolished, in fact, this particular 6 guntas of Patels in a club resort in the vicinity. When the BBMP officials came to raise a compound wall of White House, an apartment complex located along Dinur Main Road, residents came out in large numbers and demanded the BBMP that they do a resurvey for the place. In fact, the BBMP goes ahead. If they go ahead with this particular demolition on White House, the residents will lose connectivity to the basement parking, and the BBMP officials said that the apartment builder had encroached upon the Rajakalu Way to an extent of 9.5 guntas, and that they had not even spared even the buffer zone. The BBMP officials hope to complete this demolition drive in the next 3 months. In Bengaluru, Shrija for Magic Bricks Now.
Actually, in Artina, we have started demolition from that White House, and this is Patelin. Here, about 6 guntas they have encroached. That we are removing this in Patelin. Okay. After this, we are going to move to that embassy is there. No, there we will remove the encroachment. Within 3 months, it will be almost what we have identified in the first stage. That will be completed.
Also in Bangalore, thousands of Congress party workers and senior leaders marched towards and protested in front of the RBI branch in Bangalore. The Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee on Thursday staged a protest demanding the resignation of RBI Governor Urjit Patel. Shrija was at the spot.
As a part of Congress Party's anti-demonetization stir, in fact, Congress leaders are staging a RBI Gherav, saying that the RBI has completely failed in all fronts to address the woes of a common man. What we understand at this point in time is Congress stalwarts like the former Maharashtra CM Prithviraj Chavan, as well as Home Minister G. Parameshwara, as well as Bengaluru Development Minister KJ George and Dinesh Gundu Rao are leading this particular protest. In fact, scores
scores of Congress men have joined the leaders to protest against RBI's and the central government's decision on demonetization, which took place on November 8th, 2016. What we also know is that the Congress leaders over here are demanding the resignation of RBI Governor Urjit Patel, and what they're telling us is that the RBI has completely failed, especially to lift in fact the ceiling on the withdrawal limit, and they have lost their autonomous power. In Bengaluru, Shrija for Magic Bricks Now.
We are making all over India. Because of demonetization, the entire economy has gone down. The common man is facing a lot of problems. That's why the Congress party has taken decision. We are against black money. We are against terrorism. We are against fake money. You identify those people and punish them. Without that, you are today, each and every person in the country, especially the weaker sector and the poor people, are suffering because of the thing. And our economy got a setback. To recover the thing, it is not easy. That's why we are protesting to the wrong policy has taken by the central government.
RBI's autonomy has been severely damaged. Credibility of the RBI is today, at its lowest ever. The RBI governor has become more like a puppet in the hands of the Prime Minister and the central government, which is very unfortunate. We had so much of respect for that institution, and today we are seeing that is being undermined. So our demand is that the RBI governor should own up responsibility for the failure of the implementation of demonetization. It's been more than 70 days now. Still things are not back to normal. Still there are withdrawal limits, and people are not able to withdraw how much money they want. And this demonetization has affected India's economy. Jobs are being lost. People are suffering. So who's accountable for this? Somebody has to be held accountable. There are two people who are going to be accountable for this. One is the RBI and one is the Prime Minister. We have to hold them accountable, and we have to see that some action is taken against them. And how to correct the future course of events also they have to discuss. But today the whole of country has suffered unnecessarily because of the abdication of their responsibilities.
We have organized the Ghera of the RBI in Bangalore, and we are going to demand resignation of the RBI governor for his failure to uphold the autonomy, dignity of the RBI in the interest of people of India. We don't think he can fight the pressure from government to trample the institution which has been built over so many years to protect the interest of Indian economy, to protect the interest of Indian people. That is why we are going in a morcha to RBI office, and we are going to submit a memoranda to the officers there requesting the RBI governor demit office, resign forthwith.
Well, turning our sights now onto the impending election in Mumbai for the most rich municipal corporation in the country. The Shiv Sena and the NCP began #wars, and it's now the turn of the MNS, which is broken out between political parties ahead of the BMC polls. The MNS has come up with the #YesWeKnow campaign on social media in response to the Shiv Sena's #DidYouKnow and the NCP's #YouShouldKnow campaign. These campaigns highlight the BMC's shoddy work in the city, like pothole roads and poor infrastructure. But on a lighter note, the government has made good on some of its promises to improve the working conditions for policemen, but a lot still remains to be done. Police officers of 43 stations in Mumbai will now be working 8-hour shifts as opposed to the 12 or 14-hour shifts they were working until now. The police chief has promised that this will eventually be rolled out across all city police stations. While the cadre has welcomed the move, they're also wary that the good times will only last until their next transfer. Amita Balachandra brings us this comprehensive report.
In a bid to
to improve the quality of life of Mumbai cops, Police Chief Datta Patsalgikar rolled out 8-hour shifts on a trial basis in Leona Police Station in April 2016. Today, 43 out of 97 police stations in Mumbai have implemented this. Policemen used to 24 and 48-hour shifts are ecstatic. They finally have more time to spend at home.
अभी मेरी एक 3 साल की बच्ची है छोटी, उस वक्त तो बिल्कुल भी हम लोग वक्त नहीं दे पा रहे थे और बच्ची को भी मैं मतलब घर पे जाती थी तो सोई रहती थी और घर से आती थी तो भी सोई रहती थी. अब बेटर देन फील कर रहे हैं. तो गणपति बंदोबस्त आती है, कभी बहुत क्राउड होता है. नवरात्र जब विसर्जन होता है तभी बहुत क्राउड होता है, तभी हम लोग को 12 घंटा करना पड़ता है क्योंकि हम लोग का पुलिस स्टेशन में स्टाफ कम है. इसकी वजह से हम लोग को 12 घंटा करना पड़ता है. वैसे हम लोग 8 घंटा ही करते हैं और बहुत अच्छी तरह करते हैं और ज़्यादा नौकरी कर लेते हैं अच्छी तरह.
The DCP of Zone 6, where this was first rolled out, says this scheme has increased attendance and efficiency.
पहले सिक और एब्सेंट रहने का जो प्रमाण था वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा था, वो अभी कम हो गया है. साथ ही साथ हम देख रहे हैं कि पुलिस स्टेशंस में जो पेंडिंग केसेस का प्रमाण था वो भी अभी काफ़ी कम हो चुका है.
But it's not all good news. While the scheme will be rolled out in 8 more police stations in the next 1 month, several police stations are yet to catch up. Policemen of headquarters especially hope for a faster rollout.
उम्र के हिसाब से हमारे माता पिता भी बहुत मतलब उम्र के हो चुके हैं. उनको इतनी ज़्यादा मतलब अभी बाहर आने जाने के लिए प्रॉब्लम रहता है. हम नौजवान हैं, उनके मतलब उनको संभाल सकते हैं, लेकिन नौकरी संभालेंगे या उन्हें संभालेंगे इतना भी होता है ना.
कल्याण में रहते हो तो आज इधर आने को 1-1.5 घंटा तो लगता ही है. अगर 8 घंटा ड्यूटी हो जाए तो उसमें फ़र्क पड़ेगा कि आज हम 6 बजे निकलते तो घर से हम 7 या 8 बजे निकलेंगे.
Policemen's wives, however, are wary. They fear that if transferred out of Mumbai, they will be back to the days of endless shifts.
If that happened, that is really scary for me. Because how we can manage then if we again go back for 12 hours or 14 hours, then very difficult to manage. 8 hours is good.
मुंबई में है तो मुंबई के बाहर जाऊंगा तो थोड़ा तकलीफ होगा ही. अभी मुंबई में कैसा 8-10 घंटे की भी अभी आदत हो चुकी है. अब 12 घंटे भी अभी ज़्यादा लग रहा है. क्या 8 घंटे का तो आदत हो चुकी है, लेकिन बाहर मतलब डर है अभी.
Mumbai is actually better off. With only 7% vacancy in the force according to Praja Foundation, beyond the state capital, however, the manpower shortage worsens. In fact, Satish Mathur, the DGP of Maharashtra, told the Times of India that Maharashtra police is at least 50% understaffed. Praja Foundation, which recently released a report on the police force, points out that with increasing crime against women and lack of manpower, it could be difficult to implement.
I would agree as a human being, any person should not be given more than 8 hours job because you have stress, then you have multiple other things then. But obviously that needs to be answered the other way also. Do you have so much of persons?
The DCP of Zone 6, however, counters that smarter use of technology could solve the issue of staff shortage. And as he points out, policemen are aware that if needed, they might have to put in extra hours. Amitabh Balachandra for Magic Bricks Now.
5 months, is that what it takes before the government of Maharashtra can release a payment to a grieving family that the Chief Minister himself promised in person? Why is it that police welfare is so low priority for our governments? Why can't they put it right on top? Because police welfare, viewers, will assure us of safety, will assure us of service, will assure us of a police force that is ready to do a good job. I think it's appalling that 5 months have passed and Vilas Shinde's family still hasn't received compensation. And every time our reporter calls that family, they're constantly telling us that no, we have to go back to Mantralaya. They've called us for another meeting. We're going to go back and ask again. Is that the state of affairs in the police force?
Yeah, unfortunately it is, yes. But I would say one thing, why can't police help themselves? Now, for example, if they, as a family member, why can't he be appointed directly in police? One of our officers had died and his son was a graduate. I, as DIG, immediately appointed as a head constable. So we have the powers. Why shouldn't we use our own powers to help our own men.
Always under the pressure with officers or government, because my husband is always under pressure. Inquiry, maybe inquiry, or maybe lots of women still under the fear. Okay, we cannot form a union or form an association. So it is a basic problem we faces all the time. They don't have changing rooms at all. They don't have restrooms. उनको पीने का पानी तक बहुत सारे डिपार्टमेंट में अवेलेबल नहीं होता.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.